Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday morning, June 7th. An active weather pattern continues across much of the nation. It will continue to bring rain threats to many parts of the nation, severe thunderstorm threats, maybe even a kind of a nor'easter for the mid-Atlantic region as we begin the upcoming week. And there'll be low pressure near the East Coast on Saturday, unusually cool air in place, and perhaps some significant rainfall as well. Before we get to the weather situation across the CONUS region, the continental U.S., let's take a look at the tropics with respect to sea surface temperatures and what we could expect over there, let's say the next week to 10 days or so. Let's take a big overview here of the sea surface temperature pattern right now across the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Basin. First of all, we continue to have La Nina conditions in the equatorial part of the Pacific Ocean. Right here, all this blue represents colder than normal sea surface temperatures, and it's in the equatorial region. Right here is the latitude. This is the latitude right in this region right here for the equator, and the tropical part of the Pacific Ocean, cooler than normal sea surface temperatures. That typically is a favorable pattern for activity in the Atlantic Basin, and indeed I expect an active tropical season. And it also typically suppresses tropical activity in the Pacific Ocean, and I do believe that the Pacific will probably end up with below normal activity this year, similar to the last couple of years. In fact, we have had back-to-back and now back the third straight season of La Nina conditions in the tropical Pacific Ocean, and it's likely to be the third season in a row of above normal activity in the Atlantic Basin, and the third season in a row with below normal activity in the Pacific Ocean, and below normal globally, which is largely dictated by what goes on in the Pacific Ocean. One other area or two I want to focus in on. First of all, notice right here all the orange across the Gulf of Mexico, and really that extends out into much of the western part of the Atlantic Ocean, above normal temperatures right in that region. Not only Gulf of Mexico, but much of the western Atlantic. And again, that is a favorable sign for activity in the Atlantic Basin. So you have the combination of La Nina, which reduces wind shear in the Atlantic Basin, and you have above normal sea surface temperatures. So I do indeed expect above normal activity this summer across the Atlantic Basin. Indeed, let's take a close-up view here of the Gulf of Mexico region, the western part of the Atlantic Ocean. Right here, almost the entire Gulf of Mexico is experiencing above normal sea surface temperatures. I think conditions in the tropical region will be rather quiet over, let's say, the next 5 to 7 days or so, but in about a week to 10 days, don't be surprised to see a tropical system right in this region right here that perhaps heads up to Texas. Again, this is probably a week to 10 days away or so. Watch at that time in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, and then ultimately up into northeastern Mexico and the southern part of Texas. Is a kind of a long-range forecast, but there are certainly some signs that the next tropical system may impact Texas in addition to the southwestern and western part of the Gulf of Mexico. Well, let's now get back to the continental U.S. and an active weather pattern with continuation of cold air outbreaks, cold relative to normal outbreaks coming into the U.S., and that continues a lot of chances for rain. It continues the threat for some strong to severe thunderstorm activity, and for today and tonight, that threat zone extends from the central part of the nation all the way into the deep south, certainly all the way down into, let's say, Huntsville, Alabama, and the northern part of Georgia. We'll have to be on the lookout today and tonight for some strong to severe thunderstorm activity. An enhanced chance exists right in the heartland, right in the middle of the nation. And this is a probability forecast map from NOAA's Storm Prediction Center. But again, continuation of an active weather pattern, and certainly there's a chance later today and tonight for some strong to severe thunderstorm activity across a wide part of the eastern two-thirds of the nation. Well, let's take a look at the 0Z run of the Canadian model. I'm using the Canadian model this morning because I think it has a pretty good handle on the upcoming situation. Very active weather pattern. Kind of surprising in some ways for the month of June to see all this activity in the upper part of the atmosphere still way down into the middle latitudes across the nation. An active northern stream for sure. Here's an area of vorticity right here. And vorticity is what we describe, how we describe areas of rotation in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. And that tends to lead to upward motion down at the surface level. That is where you look for clouds and precipitation. In this particular case, maybe some strong to severe thunderstorm activity. So we try to focus in on the vorticity maxima, those areas of spin in the atmosphere. And this is as we begin the day on Tuesday. Later in the day, an area of vorticity slides across the eastern Great Lakes into the northeast U.S. And by tonight, there'll certainly be an opportunity for some showers across places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, maybe even a thunderstorm or two. Little bit of an instability area over the Mississippi Valley region, and an additional wave of energy across the northern plains. Let's move ahead here into the middle of the day on Wednesday. Still highly active weather pattern, especially that northern stream with system after system, kind of a west to east flow, and that allows for the transport of multiple disturbances from the west to the east, going right across the nation. It continues an active weather pattern. Here we go by later tomorrow night, Wednesday night, into early Thursday, and a significant wave of energy here could cause some decent rainfall for the Mid-Atlantic region, showers and thunderstorms again late Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Then we have a ridge trying to pop up across the southwestern part of the nation. But still yet another wave of energy here diving to the southeast across the upper part of the Midwest at the end of the work week. We're now looking at the Friday morning forecast map, and look at this system by the time we get to Saturday. Pretty strong looking upper level feature slides to the southeast across the Great Lakes into the northeastern quadrant of the nation, and could result in what is kind of like a nor'easter with low pressure forming along the east coast, unusually cool air, maybe even a little bit of cold air damming where we have high pressure setting up across southeastern Canada and kind of funneling in cooler than normal air to the east of the Appalachian mountain chain here. So unfortunately, it looks like could be a cool and rainy kind of a day on Saturday. Places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. And by the way, before we get to that, there'll be another round of strong to potentially severe thunderstorms, probably Friday afternoon into Friday night across the deep south, places like northern Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, under the gun, not only today and tonight, but also it looks like at the end of the work week, Friday afternoon into Friday evening. This system just rotates through, and again, by the time we get to Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, unusually cold air for this time of the year relative to normal, situated in the mid-Atlantic in the northeast U.S. It looks like there'll be improvement by the time we get to Sunday. This is the Sunday night, and finally the Monday night forecast map, Monday afternoon forecast map here. Kind of a ridge popping up across the Mississippi Valley, but still very active look to this overall weather pattern. Deep trough over the western U.S., deep trough over New England, and a ridge in between. This is not the usual pattern as we get into the summer months here. Usually have the northern jet stream kind of relaxing and pushing farther and farther to the northern latitudes, but we still have a lot of buckling in the atmosphere, and that means continuation of rain threats and strong to severe thunderstorm threats across a good part of the U.S. Well, let's wrap up by looking at the surface forecast maps from last night's zero-Z run of the Canadian model. And here is band of showers associated with some of that vorticity in the upper part of the atmosphere. Later this afternoon into the evening, you certainly can see some showers in the Mid-Atlantic region, maybe in an isolated thunderstorm or two. I do not expect any severe thunderstorm activity later today or tonight in the Mid-Atlantic region. There certainly can be some anywhere across the middle of the nation down into the southern part of the nation later today and tonight. And then let's move forward now into the day on Wednesday. This cool frontal system kind of slows down as it arrives along the eastern seaboard early on Wednesday, and that will allow for low pressure to form right along that boundary zone, again aided by upper level support aided by vorticity in the upper part of the atmosphere. Low pressure will form right along that frontal boundary zone. It could turn out to be a soaking rain event for the Mid-Atlantic region late tomorrow, tomorrow night into early Thursday. Possibility of some rain heavy at times in the Mid-Atlantic, maybe some strong to severe thunderstorm activity. We'll watch out for that later tomorrow. That pushes off maybe a break in the action on Thursday. This is the Thursday evening forecast map. Certainly, high pressure will cause a break in the action all the way from the deep south into the Mid-Atlantic region. But then Friday becomes active again. This is what we refer to as kind of a mesoscale convective complex. There'll be a complex of showers and thunderstorms moving across the center part of the nation late in the work week towards the deep south. And again, Friday afternoon, Friday evening, watch out. Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. This could turn into another strong to severe thunderstorm threat right in the deep south. And here we are, the beginnings of kind of a nor'easter that will form by Saturday in the Mid-Atlantic region. Here we go by Saturday midday. This is an unusually cool air mass that will be in place come Saturday in the Mid-Atlantic region. Low pressure forms aided by support in the upper part of the atmosphere, intensifies near the eastern seaboard, much like a nor'easter. Maybe even some heavy rainfall later Saturday, perhaps into Saturday night with this unusually cool air mass. Slow improvement is possible on Sunday, but certainly temperatures on Sunday will remain below normal for this time of the year across the Great Lakes and Midwest and the Northeast, with that nor'easter type storm, a 999 low over eastern part of Massachusetts by the time we get to Sunday morning, and that pushes up to the north and east. So kind of an unusual active weather pattern for the month of June. Continues not only into the weekend, but probably into next week as well in terms of the tropical activity. Kind of quiet for the Atlantic Basin, probably for the next 5 to 7 days or so, but in about a week to 10 days or so, watch out. Southwestern Gulf of Mexico, northeastern Mexico, maybe the southern part of Texas. That's kind of way out there in the future, but something we'll keep an eye on. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.